What if you don't need to live in pain and suffering? What if you could give up your karma and have a life of abundance and joy? What if you could start creating magic and miracles that you never thought were possible? Get ready to listen, share, and experience the magic that is you. Now, here's the host of Creating Abundance with Ease radio show, Dr. Helen Gitlevich.
Welcome. I'm Helen Gitlevich. I'm Creating Abundance with Ease. And today our show topic is living beyond suffering. What if you could live beyond pain and suffering? What if pain and suffering is not part of life like everybody thinks it is? Let's play with the idea and go beyond what you consider norm. Because what is norm? I always looked around myself and looked at families, looked at people, and it kind of was interesting because majority of people, at least around me, were in the mode of suffering. And they wear that suffering, or they wore that suffering, almost like a badge of honor. What do I mean by that? They were like, look at me, I suffered so much. And growing up, being Jewish in Russia, you kind of like, almost like a double being a martyr. Because there is a lot of anti-Semitism. And kind of like Jews were like, we suffered so much. So that's how it's supposed to be. Let's give it up. Because in reality, suffering is not what is valuable. Though a lot of people think of it as valuable, it's not. It's not about earning our happiness, earning our joy through suffering. And we talk a lot about access consciousness, where it's about going beyond limitations. It's going beyond the suffering, going beyond the pain. And people a lot of times still think that it is impossible. They think that life is full of suffering. Life is hard. So let's all together just let go of that interesting point of view. And that's what I kind of wanted to talk about, because in Access there is a wonderful tool, interesting point of view. It's about allowance of everything and everyone. Because even if we are not suffering and somebody next to us suffering, what do? We suffer with them. Because that's part of being empathetic, being sympathetic, all that compassion, all that empathy. And then we start suffering with them. And we buy that. So what if we didn't have to buy that suffering? What if we didn't have to suffer with our loved ones, or with our friends, or with our country? Let's destroy and uncreate that. Right and wrong, good and bad, puck and puddle, nine shorts, boys and youngs. And for people who are just starting to listen to my radio, clearing statement is a vibrational frequency of words. It's like a magic wand. You say the clearing statement, and whatever you're clearing, whatever you're ready to give up, will just disappear. I would say like a flusher on a toilet. You have poop there, and you flush. That's what we'll be doing with clearing statement. And you can see that on the website, theclearingstatement.com, where you'll get much more information about what it is. It's basically whatever we decided right and wrong, good and bad. And we're just giving it up because no matter which side of the equation you are on, it's still keeping it in place. All your limitations equal your suffering. That's pretty much the equation we're talking about, right? The more limitations we have, the more blocks we have, the more suffering we create. Because we have to overcome that. We have to overcome all the suffering so we can have life of joy. Yeah, right. How many people who are suffering right now do get to that point where they have joy and wonderful life? There is always something. People always look for another shoe to drop. And guess what? We are creating all of that. Our point of view creates our reality. Our point of view creates our lives. So if we have a point of view that life sucks, guess what? Our life starts sucking. And that's pretty much universal law. And if we have a point of view that life is wonderful, joyful, and fun, guess what we start creating? So my invitation to you, stop creating crap. Let's flush it down the toilet with a clearing statement, with all those limitations and blocks, and let's start create life of ease, joy, and glory. We have a wonderful mantra of access. All of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. If you say that 10 times in the morning and 10 times in the evening, a lot of times all that pain, all that suffering start disappearing. The funny thing is, when I don't say that, I usually say it 10 times in the morning before I even get up. And if I forget, if I'm rushed, if I'm kind of like in a hurry to get somewhere, guess what? By about 11 o'clock in the morning, I already know that I didn't say that. Because it changes things. Let's do it all together. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. And glory is exuberant abundance of the universe. So let's do it 10 times. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. How are you feeling right now? Any change? I don't know about you, but I feel much more energized. I just arrived in Dublin. I'm about to take a class with the founder of Access, Gary Douglas, and Dr. Dane here, Advanced Body class that starts March 1st. So I wasn't sure if I'll arrive on time to do my radio show. But you know, our point of view creates our reality. So I'm like, wait a second. I'm doing a show, Living Beyond Suffering. So what am I creating here? Because any fear we have starts creating more of that fear, more of what we're afraid of. So I pack and pod, by the way, if you don't know clearing statement or if you forgot it, you can just say pack and pod, which is point of creation, point of destruction, and it clears stuff. So I put and pack my fears, especially that I was coming from Rome, from Italy, where I did amazing 3-day body class, which was definitely beyond this reality. Looks like we've changed quite a bit with people in the class. So I'm like, wait, I'm creating my own reality. So, and I'm afraid that my flight will be delayed and I wouldn't be able to do my radio show. Ha, ha, ha. So I'm like, nope, it's not going to work. So I asked, what would it take for me to be perfectly on time, perfectly, kind of like doing what needs to be done. And I booked a taxi, which was interesting because he came in perfectly on time, but then we got stuck in traffic. And he was like, "What time is your flight?" And I'm like, 11. "Oh, we are not going to get to the airport before 10:30. And I'm like, "That's okay." So I got there, got my luggage in, and by the time I was at the gate, they started boarding. So it was perfect timing, and we were here in Dublin 10 minutes early. How does it get any better than that? So not only was I able to get to my room, turn on my Wi-Fi, and be with you guys, whoever is listening live, or whoever will be listening in recording or on podcast, but I also had time to have lunch and rest a little bit. So that's what I'm talking about, living beyond suffering. Because when we start being afraid, when we start suffering over something that has not even happened, because think of that. How many times we're actually suffering about stuff in the future that has not happened yet, but we're projecting and expecting it to go wrong. Right? Yeah. There is no right and wrong, but I'm just being sarcastic. So with all those projection and expectation, sometimes, and most of the time, they don't come to life. But sometimes they do. And then we are frustrated, we are upset. But we were the one that created all of that by our fears, by our projections, because our thoughts can materialize in this reality. So with everything that's going on, the universe is listening. It's kind of like, "Hi, oh, you desire not to make it on a plane? Cool, we'll arrange that. Oh, you desire to fail here." The universe has no idea that whatever we are projecting, our thoughts into the universe, that those are fears. The universe has no idea that it's something we don't desire, because consciousness includes everything and judges nothing. So with that, the universe doesn't have any point of view what's good or bad. We do. So my invitation to you, letting go of your expectation of the doomsday, letting go of your expectation of something worse that can happen, and start projecting into the universe gratitude, love, and joy and fun. What if we start creating from that instead of our fears? And it is time for our first break of the show. You're listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Helen Gitlevich, on the Inspired Choices Network. So when we return, we will be talking more about living beyond suffering and how we can start creating with gratitude instead of fears. See you soon.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message? The world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. Canada 613-800-8736. Or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease. And today our show topic is Living Beyond Suffering. So we started talking about that a lot of people live from expectation, projection, rejection, and separations, kind of like looking into the future to create more of disasters that they're used to. The invitation that I kind of like asked you to be before we went on a break is to start living from gratitude. When we live in gratitude, it starts creating more of what we are grateful for. And people say, oh, wait a second, when I'm suffering, how can I be grateful for that? But in reality, even suffering, you can be grateful for that. When I got sick and left medicine, I ended up with open heart surgery, bypass at 37 years old. And yes, there was a lot of pain. There was a lot of suffering during that time. And I'm so grateful for that period in my life because it allowed me to rethink, readjust my life completely. Because at that time, in 2001, I was married to a drug addict, was working 24/7 pretty much, with no breaks, had a small child, and at the same time was running medical office. So not only did I see patients, because I'm a medical doctor, so I did see patients in the office, but also was managing the practice as well. So it took a lot of stress. I wasn't able to sleep, and so on and so forth. No matter how much yoga I was doing, no matter how much meditation I was doing at that time, I still was getting sick. Partly because I was in that state of mind of life is hard and you're supposed to suffer. I remember somebody asking me, it's like, what's your choice here? And I'm like, I don't have a choice. At that time, I didn't. Because if you have a point of view, you don't have a choice. You don't. So when I had the surgery, it allowed me almost like step back and say, wait a second. What am I choosing here? Am I choosing suffering and continue to suffer? Or will I choose something different and go beyond that? And I was looking at my choices, and the choices were to continue on that path, which would probably killed me at the end, and probably very soon, because every time I would go to the office, I would get more complications and more problems and more pain, or quit medicine, sell my practice, and start looking for something else. And as soon as I made that choice, things shifted. My pain actually subsided because pain and suffering were not actual pain and suffering. It was my body talking to me and I was ignoring. A lot of times the pain and suffering is information we're unwilling to have. It's awareness we're unwilling to receive. So with all of that, and a lot of times the universe is willing to gift us so much. The universe is out there kind of waiting, almost like somebody, like a parent, a good parent that is, oh, you'd like to have the cake, here it is. You would like to have money, here it is. It's always ready to gift us. So when we are unwilling to receive that, it turns into pain and suffering. So what if we did allow ourselves to receive? What if we actually be more willing to be present with our lives and listen to our bodies, listen to what we have to say, listen to what the universe has to say? And we are constantly communicating with the universe. We are constantly communicating with divine. You can call it any name you desire. It can be divine, it can be God, it can be consciousness, it can be Akashic field. The consciousness is always willing to listen. Actually, it's listening constantly. It's all the crap that we are putting out. The universe is listening to, and sometimes it might not be to our benefit, especially if it's kind of our worries, our fears, our projections, our rejections, our judgments. All of that is going into universe, and the universe is like, okay, we'll make it happen. If you're judging your body, if you're looking at your body in the mirror and start judging it, let's say you're judging it getting old, you're judging it more wrinkles, you're judging it maybe it's too fat, too skinny. Universe is like, oh, let's create more of that. You're asking for it. And universe is always very literal. It does not understand hyperbolas or like jokes. If you kind of like start being sarcastic, a lot of times the universe does not get sarcasm. It thinks you desire it. It's just like that joke about man in on the bus that thinks, my wife is a bitch, my kids are idiots, my boss is awful, and I don't have money. And behind him, the angel is listening, writing things down, and thinking, wow, every single day he has weird desires. I don't get it, but my job is just to make it happen. So how often do we put into the universe our fears, our judgments, our projection and expectations? Are you willing to destroy and uncreate all of them and let them go? I hope you said yes, because I'm going to clear anyway. Right and wrong, good and bad, pack and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And a lot of times another reason why we put pain and suffering into our body is to know kind of like when people need us or when we need them. Pension. So how much of that you're doing in your life to create pain and suffering so you would have attention from people you love? I had a student in one of my classes, and he had multiple illnesses, but nothing that will kill him right away. Actually, his wife dragged him in. It was one of the intro classes, and that person was miserable. He was suffering. And we started playing with that, and I asked him, what's the value of that suffering? And he actually had a whole list of things that his suffering provided him with, like nurturing from his wife. His kids would visit him more often. I believe he was also on disability. So when I asked him, it's like, would you like to destroy and uncreate that? Would you like to let go of those values so you can actually get healthy? He looked at me and it was like, I need to know what I'm giving up. And I'm like, all those values that your illness provides for you. And I got to know. He wasn't willing to give up that value. That actually was something why he created those in the first place. And how much are we trying to help people who have who made their illness valuable, vital for whatever they are creating in their lives? And we are trying to help them at the same time. They're not willing to give it up. So it's time for our second break. And when we return, we'll discuss more of maybe stop helping people who do not desire to be helped. And so we give up our suffering over their suffering. And you are listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Helen Gitlevich, on Inspired Choices Network. We'll be right back.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
You're listening to Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease on the Inspired Choices Network. So before we went on the break, we were talking about suffering of other people and how much we suffer with them, and how much we're trying to help them to get out of their suffering, when in reality they are they love their suffering. So how many of you are trying to help your loved ones when they have a benefit from the illness, benefit from their suffering, from their trauma and drama? And how often did it backfire? I don't know about you, but a lot of times with my mom, she passed away 5 months ago, and when I was trying to help her, first of all, it's a superior position. I kind of like decided that I knew better than her about her life. But she was choosing pain and suffering. It was a badge of honor for her. And I would not allow her that. So she didn't have a choice. She had to continue suffering because I was not an allowance of that. Plus, she had her benefits from whatever she was choosing. And again, I was not an allowance of that. How often, and possibly if I was, there might have been something different, but she chose what she chose. But how much we get in that mode of suffering with people that we love, with people that we decided we need to help. It's almost like showing how much you care if you suffer with them. What if you didn't suffer with them? What if actually you went beyond the norm that you've decided that is normal in this reality? Because in this reality, if you care, you suffer with them. And that's kind of like, that's interesting. Why would you suffer when you don't need to suffer? So what if you actually, instead of suffering, you were grateful for whatever they're choosing and chose for you what made you happy, what made you joyful, and what would create fun in your life? So everything that doesn't allow you to create more fun, joy, ease, would you destroy and uncreate all of that? Thank you. I hope you said yes. Right and wrong, good and bad, back and pot, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. So how many of those people in your life that have trauma and drama, even if you help them, let's say you get them out of trouble in that moment. Let's say you manage to do that with all your might, with all your magic. And what do they do a few days, few months later? They create another disaster, right? At least that was my experience from people in my life. Only very few people that actually chose different. And I'll talk about that in a second. So let's leave those people who are actually suffering because they choose that and start actually paying attention to us. So when we are actually looking at what makes us tick, looking at our limitations, going beyond that, and being in gratitude, in total allowance of what people choose, guess what? Life can change. What I found for me, everything has shifted. When I started being an allowance of people's choices, when I started choosing for me, I became an inspiration for other people to choose for themselves. So that's when I started seeing the shifts in other people around me, where they stopped choosing their suffering and started choosing something different. Look, one of the things that the suffering is not real. Suffering is a judgment that we put on it, on whatever is going on in our lives. Let's play with that. Because a lie, if you expand a lie, it disappears. If you expand something that's true, it gets bigger. It's one of the ways to look at things, if they're real or not, if they're true or not. And so look at any of your fears or your projections of the future. Let's just play with the fear right now. And let's expand that. Think of it as a balloon and expand it maybe, because I'm in Dublin, I'll say a kilometer. But because I'm from America, I'll say a mile. It doesn't matter what you choose. Just expand any lies that you have in your life, any fears. Because fear is a construct. Fear is an implant. So expand that maybe 10 miles, 10 kilometers, 1,000 miles, 1,000 kilometers. And keep expanding it. Is it still there? Well, I took one of my fears and it disappeared. Now, look at a gratitude. Let's say you have a gratitude for someone or something in your life. And let's expand that. Let's expand that gratitude a mile, like that balloon. Make it big. A mile, 1,000 miles, 10,000 miles. See, it's still there. Love, gratitude, they are real. They're more real than your fears. So if you play with gratitude instead of fears, if you play with love instead of whatever trauma and drama you have in your life, things start shifting. Look at your body. How is your body feels after you expanded gratitude? And it doesn't take that long. It takes a few seconds, maybe 10 seconds, maybe 20 seconds to expand gratitude or love. When we look at pain and suffering, a lot of times it's our unawareness that creates that. A lot of times it's what we don't know. Or actually, we don't know is a lie. We decided we don't know. We decided to cut off our awareness so we wouldn't know. Guess what? That part is where we are not receiving, and that part what creates pain and suffering. So what if you didn't cut any parts of yourself? What if you didn't cut your awareness to anything? What if you could receive everything and everyone, no matter how evil they are, no matter how good they are, no matter how wrong they are, or no matter how wonderful they are? Would you be willing to do that? Or be that? Thank you. Right and wrong, good and bad, buck and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. What if, you know how we live in our virtual vibrational reality? Because whatever our life is, 90% of that is not real. 99% of our thoughts, feelings, and emotions are not ours. We pick them up from everywhere. We are picking up from other people, maybe even from other planets. We're antennas. So one of the tools I love in Access is Who Does It Belong To? And by the way, it's a free app. You can download it anytime. And with that, you can choose to get reminded, let's say once in a while, every 10 minutes, depends what you choose, of asking that question that it's kind of like clears you. Even by asking that, a lot of times you would get free. And by the way, I always get carried away with our show, but I'm supposed to talk about my classes in the future. I talked about the one I just did, but there is another one coming, another 3-day body class in Maccabim, Israel. It's and it's interesting. I just noticed. Yeah, it's Israel. It's between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. It will be in English, translated into Hebrew, March 12 to 14. I'm also doing a bars class before that, and I found out a lot of bars facilitators taking the bars class just to get 2 exchanges for half price and get a lot of clearings. I'm also doing 2 free Zoom webinars. One is going to be this Thursday, tomorrow actually, at 8 p.m. Israeli time. I believe it's 1 p.m. It's 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 11 o'clock. Anyway, it's 8 p.m. In Israel, so you can figure it out. The webinar will be Body and Money. And I'm also doing one in Russian, how to open to your potential, which is in Russian sounds like как раскрыть свой потенциал. And there are more classes coming up. You can look up on the website that's on the chat. And I guess we are ready to go on a break again. This is our 3rd and final break. And you're listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Helen Gitlevich, on Inspired Choices Network. And when we return...
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlevich. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Helen Gitlevich on Creating Abundance with Ease, and today our show topic is Living Beyond Suffering. So we have just a little bit left, I guess under 10 minutes, to talk more about giving up our judgments, giving up our suffering, giving up all the things that we've decided is wrong with our lives. So what if that suffering is our projection and expectation that make it suffering? Because in reality, our point of view creates our reality. Our points of view create everything that's going on in our lives. So let's talk a little bit about what judgments you have about your life. What judgments do you have about what is actually means to you to have fun and to be grateful? Because a lot of times we don't even know what's fun for us. When I got divorced, found out that I had no idea what fun for me is. I had no idea what joy for me was. It was in part because all my life I dedicated to my family, dedicated to everybody other than me. And I was suffering. I was suffocating. And so I had to learn what actually I liked. So what if we don't have to be in that rut where we have no idea what makes us joyful, what's fun for us? Let's start exploring. A lot of people ask me, how would I know what actually I like? How would I find out? Start exploring. Start trying things. A lot of people, they're stuck in their suffering. They're stuck in what they decided their life is. And so they stopped trying. They stopped experimenting. I started small when I actually realized that I have no idea what I like. I started with food. I would go to a restaurant and I would try something I've never tried before. It's as simple as that. And it's like, okay, or things that I tried before and thought I liked or didn't like. Now that I didn't have other people's influence, and that's where who does it belong to comes in. Because a lot of our tastes, a lot of what we decided is fun for us, and we decided it's fun, but then when we are doing it, it's not fun. It's kind of like almost suffering, or maybe it is suffering, because we've decided it based on other people's judgment. A lot of things, for me at least, was with experimentation. It was way before Access, but I already had Akashic records with me at that time. But a lot of things we decided to like based on other people's choices. Let's say our parents, maybe our friends, maybe our loved ones, or even children. We decided we liked it because they liked it. A lot of it might be kind of like mimicking them. And then we're eating that, or we're doing the activity, and we're finding out that it's, wait a second, I'm suffering when I'm doing that. That doesn't taste good. Or I'm bored, I'm upset, all of those things. So my invitation to you actually asking, what is that I like to do? What is that I like to be? What is that I like to eat? And asking your body, what would you like to eat? Body, what would you like to wear? What would you like to do? Who would you like to sleep with? All of those questions, the more questions you can ask, the more you can find out what is that gives you joy instead of suffering. What will give you fun instead of pain? Because a lot of times we cannot even separate pain and pleasure. And then for some people, they misidentify those two. Especially if they've been abused, to them, abuse became love. So the suffering actually itself is what they decided is love is. So that's why a lot of people don't want to give up the suffering. It might be a connection to their loved ones. It might be how they identify themselves. So what if we didn't have to? What if we didn't have to live in suffering? What if you could just be present with who you are and what you are? Because a lot of times we have no idea who we are, just like we have no idea what we like. Small things, small choices. To experiment with discovering the things that give you joy. And it's very simple, but it's not easy. What I found for me was when I was stressed, when I was upset, I would revert back to my old self and start suffering instead of having fun. What if we could have fun even in the middle of suffering? I used to do yoga very seriously and meditation and all that, and it was Phoenix Rising yoga, where we did a lot of meditation on different things. And I remember using Osho tarot cards as a meditation. One of the cards was that it's what I was going to say. It was 3 women dancing in the rain. It's kind of like made me think that it's about being happy no matter what's going on. So a lot of times nowadays I can do that. And other times it's still work in progress. So what if you didn't judge yourself if you were not perfect? And if you still choose something against you instead of for you? And yes, we are coming to the end of our show. It's just a couple of minutes left. Next week, we have another show, and I apologize, I will be on a plane, so you will listen to the show in the recording. And the topic of the show will be, do you look or act like your mother? And it's about how much do we look and act like our mother or our father. Even if you resist looking or acting like them, how often do you notice that you still do things like them? Let's see if we can change that by using tools of access consciousness. That will be our topic for next week. And we still have a couple of minutes left in the show. So I just want to kind of remind you to use access tools, to start asking more questions. Ask what actually fun for you and choose from that. Because remember we talked about lies always will feel heavy and they're not real, and truth will make you feel light. Whatever is fun for you always feels light. So allow yourself to choose based on the lightness of being, lightness of having, lightness of everything. Just choose based on your choices, not somebody else's, not something else's. Just allow yourself to go into the energy of lightness, what's true for you. Because a lot of times we do ignore it, and we not choose for it. And again, you've been listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Helen Gitlevich, on Inspired Choices Network. And we'll be seeing you soon. See you next week. Till next show.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Creating Abundance with Ease radio show. Dr. Helen Gitlevich will return next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have fun using the tools of the week in your life and start creating magic in your life and your body.